My name is Danielle. I'm 25 now, married to a wonderful man named Jonah, and we live in a quiet neighborhood with our dog and an overflowing collection of houseplants. But rewind to when I was 19, and I was anything but settled. Back then, I had just finished my first year of college. I was the kind of girl who paid her own tuition, worked part-time at a diner, and drove a beaten-up but reliable red Honda Civic that my dad had helped me buy before he passed away. That car wasn't fancy. It had a dent on the side from a grocery store parking lot and the AC only worked if you kicked the dashboard just right. But it was mine. A symbol of freedom. A piece of him. My stepfather, Randy, had been in our lives since I was about 12. He wasn't the worst, but he wasn't exactly nurturing either. Randy had this way of making everything transactional. Help around the house? That meant you owed him. Need a ride to school? Expect a guilt trip. I learned early on not to ask for much. That summer, I got an opportunity to spend 6 weeks in Chicago interning at a nonprofit. It didn't pay much, but it was a huge step toward the career I wanted. I debated bringing my car, but parking was expensive, and I figured I'd save money and take public transit. Danielle, leave the car here, my mom said as I packed. No sense paying for parking if it's just going to sit there. Okay, I agreed. But can you park it in the garage? Just so it's safe. She nodded. Of course. We'll take care of it. I hugged them both goodbye, kissed the hood of my Civic like a weirdo, and boarded the train to Chicago with my heart full of hope. The internship was everything I hoped it would be: challenging, inspiring, exhausting. I was making new friends, exploring the city, and feeling more like myself than I had in years. I didn't check in with home much. Our calls were mostly short texts from my mom, the occasional photo of the dog, or a quick "we're fine." Then, 3 weeks in, I got a call from my best friend Carly. Hey, so I saw your car today. Or, well, I thought it was your car. On Facebook Marketplace. I blinked, confused. What? Yeah. Same dent on the side, same fuzzy dice in the mirror. It was listed for $2,000. I screenshotted it. She sent me the photo, and my stomach dropped. It was my car. The description even mentioned the broken AC and how you had to kick the dashboard. I called my mom immediately. She answered with her usual cheer. Hi honey. How's Chicago? Where's my car? There was a pause. What do you mean? I mean, Carly saw it on Facebook Marketplace. It's being sold. Why would it be on Facebook Marketplace, Mom? Another pause. Longer this time. Then she sighed. Danielle. I was going to tell you. Randy thought, well, we thought, it might be time to sell it. It's an old car. You're not using it. And we could use the money. I felt my body go cold. You sold my car without asking me? Well, technically, she hedged, Randy is the one who finalized the sale. But it was just sitting there, honey. And you're always talking about upgrading someday. I was speechless. That car wasn't just a car. It was the last thing my dad ever gave me. He'd taken me to test drive it. Helped me negotiate. Handed me the keys with this proud look on his face. And now it was gone, sold like some old toaster they didn't want anymore. I hung up the phone without another word. I was shaking. Furious. Heartbroken. Then, 2 days later, something happened. Randy called me. Which was weird, he never called me directly. Danielle, he said, voice tense, did you do something to our bank account? I blinked. What are you talking about? There's a withdrawal. $2,000. It's gone. I smiled. Oh. That? That was the amount you got from selling my car, right? I just figured I'd take it back. There was a stunned silence. What? How? You sold something that belonged to me. So I made it right. You accessed our bank account? No, I said sweetly. I accessed my trust fund. Remember the one Dad set up? The one Mom said was closed? It wasn't. Turns out, Dad set a backup custodian. Aunt Melissa. She helped me. More silence. Danielle, he growled, this is family. You can't just. Can't I? You sold my car. Without permission. That's not family. That's theft. I hung up. That was the last real conversation we ever had. The fallout was dramatic. When I got back from Chicago 2 weeks later, I didn't even go home. Jonah, my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, picked me up from the station, and I stayed with him while I figured out my next move. I still remember sitting on the edge of his bed, my duffel bag at my feet, staring blankly at the wall while he paced. So let me get this straight, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. He sold your car, pocketed the cash, and now he's mad you accessed your trust fund to get the equivalent money back? I nodded. Jonah let out a low whistle. That man's got audacity levels I didn't even know existed. The worst part was my mom. She texted me constantly, flipping between guilt and anger. You didn't have to make a scene, one message read. Randy was just trying to help. You could have talked to us first. You're being dramatic. That last one got to me the most. Dramatic. That word followed me my entire childhood, used any time I pushed back, any time I cried, any time I wanted something for myself. Eventually, I texted her back. You let him take something that wasn't his. You didn't stand up for me. And now you're mad I didn't ask permission to reclaim what was mine? You don't get to rewrite this. She didn't respond. I didn't go back to the house for weeks. When I finally did, because I needed to get the last of my stuff, it was like walking into a museum. Everything looked the same, but it felt foreign. Cold. Randy wasn't home. My mom was, though, and she looked tired. Like she'd aged in the month I'd been gone. Danielle, she started, trying to smile. I held up a hand. I'm not here for a conversation. Just my things. She followed me around the house while I packed. I could feel her trying to find the words, but they never came. When I finally zipped the last bag and turned to go, she blurted it out. I didn't mean for it to get so bad. I stopped in the doorway. That's the thing, Mom. You never do. You just let it happen. Her eyes welled up, but I didn't stay to see the tears fall. Back at Jonah's apartment, I collapsed into his arms. It's like she chose him over me, I whispered. He didn't say, I'm sure that's not true. He didn't try to fix it. He just held me, and that was exactly what I needed. A week later, Randy got a surprise of his own. The car? The one he sold for $2,000? It had been bought by a friend of Jonah's, Carly's boyfriend, actually. He had seen the listing and scooped it up because Carly told him the whole story. He'd never planned to keep it. We all met at the garage one evening, and he handed me the keys. Thought you might want her back, he said with a grin. I laughed and cried all at once. She was a little worse for wear, some scratches, the smell of cheap cologne, but she was still mine. I had the car detailed, replaced the fuzzy dice with a new pair Jonah gave me, and drove her back to campus like nothing had changed. Except everything had. Randy tried to text me once after that. Some long-winded attempt at justifying what he did. I didn't reply. He made his choices. And I made mine. By the time fall semester rolled around, I had decided to transfer schools. Not because I needed to, academically, I was doing fine, but emotionally, I needed a clean slate. Jonah supported the decision completely. He even helped me find a small off-campus apartment near his university, just a couple towns over. That red Honda? She made the move with me. I had a friend help me replace the stereo system and even got her a new paint job, keeping the same shade of red but with a fresh sheen. It felt symbolic, restoring what was mine. Starting over. I tried not to think about my mom too much. But every now and then, I'd catch myself wondering, was she sorry? Did she regret not standing up for me? Or was she still at home, pretending none of it happened? Then one afternoon, out of nowhere, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address, just my name scrawled in delicate cursive. Inside was a handwritten letter. Danielle. I don't expect this to fix anything, and maybe I have no right to write at all. But I've been sitting with a lot these past few months, and I need to say something, even if you never read it. You were right. I let Randy make decisions that weren't his to make. I let him take things from you, your car, your trust, your peace, and I stood by. I wish I could say I didn't realize it at the time, but the truth is, I did. I just didn't know how to stop it without breaking everything apart. And maybe that's the problem. I chose the illusion of peace over protecting my daughter. Your father would be ashamed of me. That thought haunts me more than I can explain. You always were strong, Danielle. Fierce and bright and stubborn in the best ways. I didn't always understand you, but I admired you more than I let on. Randy's not living here anymore. Things fell apart not long after you left. I told him he needed to move out. That what he did was unforgivable. I know it's too little, too late. But I want you to know, I'm trying to make things right. I love you. I miss you every day. And I'm proud of you, even if I don't say it enough. Love. Mom. I sat on the floor of my apartment, that letter in my lap, and cried like I hadn't in months. Not just because of what she said. But because part of me had been holding on to so much anger, and now I didn't know where to put it. I didn't call her right away. I needed time to think, to feel everything. But I didn't throw the letter away either. I folded it carefully, placed it in a small box under my bed, and told myself, when I'm ready, I'll reach out. Jonah found me curled up with a blanket that night, and when I handed him the letter, he read it in silence. Then he just pulled me close. You okay? He asked. I think I will be. That night, I dreamt of my dad. We were driving in the Civic, the windows down, music playing. He was laughing, his hand on the wheel. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't wake up with a heavy heart. A few weeks after I got the letter, I drove home. Not because I was ready to forgive, not completely, but because something in me needed closure. I didn't tell Jonah until the night before. He offered to come, but I told him I had to do this alone. The drive was quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you think too much. I watched the trees blur past, remembering every fight, every silence, every time I'd felt small in that house. But I also remembered my dad teaching me how to parallel park, his hand on the steering wheel guiding me, laughing when I knocked over a cone. When I pulled into the driveway, the house looked smaller than I remembered. Or maybe I had just grown. My mom answered the door, looking like she hadn't slept much. Her hair was grayer, her sweater loose around her shoulders. She looked older, softer, like someone who had finally dropped the act. Danielle, she breathed, her eyes welling. I'm not here to fight, I said. I just want to talk. She nodded and stepped aside. The house smelled like cinnamon and dust. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one where we'd eaten pancakes on Sundays and argued about curfews. She didn't rush into apologies this time. She let me speak. I told her everything, how hurt I'd been, how betrayed. How small it made me feel to know she stood by and let Randy take what wasn't his. I was scared, she said finally. And tired. And I thought if I kept things calm, I was doing the right thing. I didn't say anything. But I see now, she added, her voice shaking, that calm doesn't mean right. Sometimes, doing the right thing is messy. And hard. And I failed you. We sat in silence for a long time. The clock ticked loudly in the corner, and outside, the wind rustled through the trees. Then I reached into my bag and pulled out the spare key to the Civic. I thought you might want to see her, I said. She's still got that dent. Still smells like your old car freshener. She laughed, a soft, sad laugh. I do miss that car. Even if she was loud as a lawnmower. We stood in the driveway a little while later, staring at the red Honda. My mom ran her hand along the hood like she was greeting an old friend. She always did suit you, she said. Independent. Resilient. Like her owner, I replied. That night, I didn't stay. I said goodbye, gave her a long hug, and told her I'd call soon. I didn't promise anything else. Just, soon. On the way back, I rolled down the windows, let the cold air whip through my hair, and turned the radio up. It felt like freedom. Like healing. And when I pulled into Jonah's driveway, he was waiting on the porch, a mug of tea in his hand and that look on his face, the one that said, "Whatever happened, I've got you." Life moved on. I finished my degree the following spring, walked across the stage with Jonah cheering louder than anyone in the auditorium. My red Honda was parked right outside, decorated with streamers and a hand-painted, "You did it," sign taped to the windshield. I got a job offer 2 weeks later, communications associate at a nonprofit downtown. It wasn't glamorous, but it was solid. And more than that, it was mine. I earned it without shortcuts, without anyone's money or connections. Just me, showing up, doing the work. Jonah and I moved into a tiny one-bedroom with creaky floors and a temperamental heater. It was cramped, and the walls were thin, but we loved it. Every night we'd eat dinner on the couch, laughing over whatever nonsense had happened at work that day. And then, almost a year after the whole car ordeal, something unexpected happened. I got an email from Randy. Subject line, "An apology, if you'll hear it." My heart thudded as I stared at the screen. I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity got the better of me. Danielle. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, and I wouldn't blame you if you ignore this entirely. But I've thought a lot about what happened. About what I did. Selling your car was wrong. I can try to justify it 100 ways. I thought it was just sitting there, we needed money, blah blah blah, but none of it matters. What matters is that I took something that wasn't mine. And I hurt you. You don't owe me forgiveness. I just want you to know that I regret it. Deeply. I lost a lot more than I expected when you walked away. Your mom too, eventually. She's doing okay, by the way. She talks about you all the time. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be. Randy. I read it twice. Then a third time. My stomach churned with 1,000 conflicting emotions. I didn't respond. Not out of spite. But because I didn't need to. Some things don't need a reply to have closure. That summer, Jonah and I took a road trip up the coast. We packed the Honda with snacks and beach towels, rolled the windows down, and played old playlists from college. Somewhere near the Oregon border, we stopped at a scenic overlook. Jonah stood behind me, his arms around my waist, both of us watching the waves crash below. You ever think about how far you've come? He asked quietly. I nodded, leaning into him. All the time. And I did. Not just in miles. But in growth. In healing. In finding my voice again. I had once been the girl who let people make decisions for her. Who walked away from confrontation to keep the peace. Who watched her car, and her power, get taken without a fight. Not anymore. Now I was the woman who reclaimed it. 3 months after the road trip, something happened that I didn't see coming. It started with a phone call from my mom. Hey, she said, her voice cautious. I wanted to tell you this myself before you heard it from anyone else. Randy's in trouble. I stiffened. What kind of trouble? She hesitated, then sighed. Financial. Legal, maybe. Some kind of business venture he got involved in, it went south. Badly. And apparently, He'd been funneling money through personal accounts. There's an investigation now. I sat down slowly. Are you okay? She let out a breath. I'm not tied to any of it. Thank God. We finalized the divorce last month. Quietly. I didn't want to make a scene. Something strange flickered in my chest, not quite satisfaction. But not surprise either. Just inevitability. The man who had treated everything like a transaction finally met a debt he couldn't outrun. I hung up the phone and stared out the window for a long time. A week later, it made the local news. Fraud allegations. Civil lawsuits. Frozen accounts. Randy's smirking face now attached to headlines he couldn't spin. I didn't feel joy reading about it, just a strange calm. Like a storm that had raged inside me for years was finally clearing. Jonah found me at the kitchen table that evening, laptop open, story still on the screen. You okay? He asked. I think karma finally came around, I said softly. He nodded. You want to talk about it? Not really, I said. I think I'm done talking about him. I closed the laptop, stood up, and walked to the window. The Civic sat in the driveway, gleaming in the evening light. Still mine. Still standing. That weekend, I took her to get new tires and an oil change. The mechanic chuckled as he handed back the keys. She's holding up like a champ, he said. You've taken good care of her. I smiled. She's taken good care of me too. Driving home, I thought about how full circle everything felt. The girl who once watched everything be taken from her had built something stronger than anyone expected. She had rebuilt herself. It's been almost 4 years now. The red Honda is gone, sold to a sweet teenage girl named Maya who reminded me a little too much of myself. She beamed as she sat in the driver's seat, her dad taking pictures like it was Christmas morning. I handed over the keys and tried not to cry. She's reliable, I told her. She'll get you through anything. I watched them drive off with a weird mix of sadness and pride. Letting go of that car was like closing a chapter I'd read over and over, one I finally knew by heart. But it was time. Jonah and I bought a new car a few months later, blue, quiet, with heated seats and Bluetooth. A grown-up car, I joked. We also bought a house. Nothing fancy, but big enough for a family. And not long after moving in, I found out I was pregnant. I remember standing in the bathroom, holding the test, my whole body shaking. Jonah came in, saw my face, and immediately pulled me into his arms. I'm scared, I whispered. What if I mess this up? He kissed my forehead. You won't. You've already survived the worst. Everything from here is just growing. We named our daughter Ivy. She has her dad's dimples and, apparently, my tendency to kick wildly at night. She came into the world screaming and pink and perfect, and the moment I held her, I knew I had finally arrived. Sometimes I still think about that summer. About how quickly things spiraled. How I lost so much and yet somehow found something even better. Myself. My voice. My strength. I never replied to Randy's email. I didn't need to. Watching his downfall wasn't revenge, it was a reminder that what we put into the world always finds its way back. As for my mom, we talk more now. It's not perfect, but it's real. She visits Ivy, brings homemade soup and little knitted booties, and once, while rocking Ivy to sleep, she looked at me and said, I don't deserve this. But thank you for letting me be here. I squeezed her hand. We're all just trying. So that's where I'll leave it. I was the girl who lost her car, her trust, and for a while, her sense of worth. Now I'm the woman who reclaimed it all, and became a mother, a wife, and someone I'm finally proud to be. And that's better than any kind of revenge.